What's happening? Paul Farahvar here. I am your host of Why Are You Awake? But what I'm doing now is re-releasing old episodes of my podcast, Singles Only, because apparently a lot of people didn't know about it. It was a podcast that I ran for years about dating and being single and advancing the theory that marriage is an outdated institution and that being single is okay. This week, I'm reissuing an episode with my good friend, Jay Washington. This is episode 343 from 2 years ago. Go listen to it. If you're listening to us wherever, I guess, listen to it again. But watch it on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, awesome. Thank you. And thank you for being a supporter. Subscribe if you don't already. Make sure you follow Jay Washington as well and enjoy this episode. Keep in mind, it's 2 years old, so we just had come out of whatever that pandemic thing was. Fun episode. Enjoy it. Hey, it's time for another edition of Singles Only Podcast. Paul Farahvar here, your host. This episode is done remotely, in person, but remote from the office, out in LA. No voice of reason. We don't need one. I'm excited for this guest. Man, I have so much to say about you, Jay. Before I introduce you, I want to say you're one of the first people that in like my peer group that I got to see blow up in person. I took my nephew to see you when you were on Chirac, and I was like, I know that guy. And it was so cool to fucking see something cool happen to one of us, Jay Washington, on the podcast.
Man, thank you so much. It means a lot. You know what? I am learning how to accept compliments. Because as much as I still work, I don't feel like I've blown up yet. But for people, or I don't feel like I've hit that level I think I should hit.
We're never happy, right?
We're never happy.
What's next? Yeah.
That's literally me. It's what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? So.
But yeah, you got that. You got American Gigolo. You were a wrestler, and you used to have an awesome show. We started in comedy. I think you started a little before me, but we were both of the, I would call the original cast
of the Laugh Factory
in Chicago.
Yes, we were
so
the original
cool.
group.
And then I didn't know you were single. I was like, oh shit, I ran into you while I was out here. I'm like, This is amazing. I get to do this. So many questions, but let's start with, how are you single?
I honestly wish I had an answer for that. I know that my last full relationship was with my daughter's mother. And that was we ended our relationship about 7 years ago.
Okay. How old's your daughter now?
My daughter's 9 now.
Okay. Wow.
And so, of course, being out here trying to date and things like that, you always hear the stories of dating in LA. And I've never wanted to subscribe to that. Because I was like, it just sounds like a trope, like some shit we hear with stand-up. And so, I've tried to date different things, and it's just never panned out. I had got really disappointed and depressed about it at one point because I felt like everyone around me was finding somebody, and I felt destined to be single. And so, it's always you're a great guy, somebody's going to find you, and I've been looking, but also I think I'm going to get to the point now where I'm going to stop looking and let it come from me.
Well, what do you need a relationship for? Let me ask you that.
Well, I don't necessarily need it. I want it.
Okay. Why do you want it?
I want to have somebody I can share my excitement with as much as they can share their excitement with me.
Okay.
It's one thing to call my friends and my homies and tell them, yo, I'm doing this, I'm about to do that, I'm about to do this. And that's fine. But there's something about having somebody who can rub your back on your bad days to calm you down and you can talk to, and somebody you can actually get away from everything. My life, I'm trying to live life more, and I say that because I'm always working.
Right.
I'm just more focused because of the situation with me being single. I just like, let me focus towards work. And I honestly have gotten to a point where I don't want that to be my all-consuming life. So I want to have somebody in my life, a woman in my life, a partner in my life that, I can just give the love that I have and that's been stored up. And it took me a while, too, to realize that I could do that because, after losing my daughter's mom, I always thought that was the only person I needed to be with again. Right. And it took me a while, a lot of therapy. Shouts out to my therapist. to get back to that understanding of, okay, look, we probably won't end up together, but there may be somebody else out there for me.
Right. And you have a good relationship with her in terms of co-parenting and everything.
Yes, absolutely. It took a while, and that
in
took
Chicago?
a while. No, she's in Tacoma, Washington, where she's from. When I decided to make the move here, she moved out there, and initially, before everything fell apart with us, the goal was I come here, get established here, get everything together, and bring them down. But fate had different plans.
Right.
And so, for a while, I was chasing that. And when I had to have that final proverbial come to Jesus moment of, this ain't happening.
Right.
We're just going to be good friends, good co-parents, things like that. I've gone out there. I stay with her and my daughter when I'm out there, and it's just we talk and everything. And sometimes I've had those, is this about to happen?
Yeah.
Because times we've been on the phone for 2.5 hours. I'm like, is this going? But I have to remind myself, we're friends.
Right.
We're good together as friends.
You have to compartmentalize the friendship.
Yes, absolutely.
You said friends and your homies. What's the difference between a friend and a homie?
They're all like some people. The homies are the people. I think the homies are more so the people that are the closest to me.
Gotcha.
The people who know my life, not just my career, not just seeing me out and about. People who know the person.
Is that a universal explanation, or is that your explanation?
That's mine. I wish it was universal. It'd make it a lot easier for a whole lot of people.
Are you a homie or a friend? Man, I'm like, how do I figure out where I fit in?
Because there was a song back in the day from the dude who's locked up called Homie Lover Friend. And that was about like somebody you just was having sex with. But like those ain't the cases. Like I got a lot of male and female friends who are just my real good homies who are like, I can call them if I'm down. They'll call me if they're down, things like that.
Now let me ask you this question, because we are in your place here, and I know this about you, that you are very into Avengers and I don't know, comic,
the nerd world,
the nerd world,
yeah.
Well, I mean, some people, what is it? What do you call? I know there's the two sides of there's the Avengers team. What's that?
Marvel and DC.
Marvel and DC. Are you like all Marvel or all DC, or just like all of it?
So, like you said, we're my.
I don't know shit about this stuff.
Okay, well,
obviously the way
I'll give you a quick breakdown. So there are two prominent comic book companies, Marvel and DC. Those are the top two dogs.
I know that part.
Okay, and then of course, so we're in my apartment, and I have a bunch of different things around. Now the thing is, like, of course, my wall, as you can see, is all anybody who's ever watched me on the internet do stuff, because this is my backdrop for when I'm streaming and things like that.
But it's also predominant around your place too, not just your backdrop.
Oh yeah,
you have the fucking fist over there.
Yeah, the Thanos gauntlet. I think because one of the things for me was, again, this is my place, and I wanted to make it comfortable for when I came here, that it was just something to just to decompress. And just seeing some of this little stuff, and I get a lot of this from different people. I've gotten this from events that if you turn around and look on the top shelf, those two Thanoses right back to back are from my daughter.
Okay. Those
are from my daughter. They were from like 2 different Christmases. I got stuff that came in from like different stuff. The Black Lightning things from going over sets. Warner Brothers sent me things. Disney sent me things. I've picked up things.
You've got all the still in packaging, Black Lightning and stuff.
Which I might take them out because the boxes just take up space. But even the 4 anime figures on that third shelf are from Transor Z. That was the English version of a show called Mazinger Z, which is a popular anime. You don't know nothing about it. I know, so I'm just giving you
a quick... I see a Transformer over there,
too. You see that, too.
I know Transformers.
But the thing is with that, my dad, before he passed back in 85, he knew Transor Z was my favorite cartoon. And one of the memories I always had with him was
it was in England though?
No, it was a Japanese cartoon, but they had an English version.
Gotcha.
They had an Americanized version, and so my dad always loved it. So that is for me, a connection to still with my dad, even though he's been passed away 38 years.
Right. But my question to you then is when and if you bring a woman into your world or into your apartment, they see this. Mm-hmm. Do you prepare them for it? Or are you like, hey, I'm about to open the door. You're going to see a lot of shit that has to do with comic stuff. Or by then they already know?
I think by then they already know. It's just, there's not a rarity where it's just somebody just randomly popping up over my house. If you know me, if you coming over here, you know about me.
Yeah.
And when I say that, not like, because the nerd stuff doesn't take up my whole life. It's just here, again, it's a cute little aesthetic for me. But also it's just, hey, it's part of how I pay my bills.
Right.
And so a lot of things that have been, and this ain't even all the stuff that's been given to me that I could have in display like a collector, and I don't have the space for all that.
But this is a big part of your life. It's not just your career in terms of, I know that you do the pod or whatever for that stuff. It's still a part of your life.
It's a part, you're absolutely right. It's a part of me.
Like if you didn't have this backdrop for your show, you still would have had like, I'd say 5 or 10 Black Lightning or Shazam posters up. Correct?
Nah, absolutely wouldn't.
Come on. Between us girls.
Honey, no, honestly, if it wasn't for the backdrop for the wall,
Okay.
Because I actually have my cousin, he gave me a bunch of like these they were comic book covers printed on wood where you could hang them up over the wall. And I got like 10 of them from him. And when I first moved in, I was like, oh, I'm going to put these all over. And then I put them up and I was like, nah, I'm good. I just didn't like the way it looked. Okay. So I changed that, I changed from that because it could have been that. The only thing that's really close beside these posters is the picture of me. So a former friend did. Of me as Thanos. So that's something did for me. And then if you notice, here I got my whole hip hop and ode to the city
stuff out there.
Yeah,
I like that.
And my ode to the city and everything and all that.
So if a woman that you meet doesn't know anything about Marvel or DC or anything like that, that's not a deal breaker for you?
No.
You don't give a shit about that?
Because my thing is, I'm not finna gatekeep any shit like that. B, I'm not about to force you to like any shit like that. It's just that it's a part of my life because, again, yes, I'm a fan of it. Absolutely. But it also, like I said, it pays bills. And so now, if you just are so adamantly against it, then of course we won't be together because that's like if she loves ballet and I'm just like, I hate the fucking ballet and things like that. So it's that give or take.
But what if they've never seen any of the movies?
That's fine.
That's okay.
I've talked to a couple of women before who said, I've never seen anything. I don't know anything about it. I said, that's fine. That's cool. I said, it's not. The main thing I said is it's honestly not for everybody.
Right.
And because you can't force people to like certain things like that.
Yeah, but if it's some things are a part of your life,
of course.
Right? So if they don't know that or they don't appreciate that part of your passion or your career, it's a little weird.
It's weird, but not as much.
But it's not a deal breaker for you.
No, because I don't think it's like, look, you don't like comic book stuff and nerd stuff. Okay, that's fine. But also, if you've noticed, over the past 20 years since Marvel... 10, 15 years since Marvel Studios has really been a big thing. Everybody now, well, not everybody, the majority of culture is centered around nerddom and geek stuff, whether it be Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, you've always had Star Trek and Star Wars. So somebody's always a part of something. And so it's hard to not run into somebody who knows about it.
Well, then what are the things that make you say, okay, I can't hang out with this woman because, do you have deal breakers?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely do.
What are the biggest ones for you?
For me, honestly, being just overly racist and sexist.
Okay.
There are a lot of people, and when I say sexist, I know I've met women who have told me, oh my God, women comics are not funny at all. They're all trash. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I've met women who've told me.
The most people that do say that are women.
And I've noticed that. And people don't believe that.
Right. I have heard women say that.
People tend to think it's just guys. And it's like, it's been women I've heard. Now, of course, you hear some idiot-ass guys say it. But when I was more shocked.
But I mean, people you'll hear that in states where, it's legal to marry your cousin. I get that from dudes. But I did a show recently where I was headlining and both my opener and my feature were women. And they were like, oh my God, you were so great. And there was a woman that said this to me. She said, and I usually don't like female comics, but both of yours were really, really good. And I was like, you're a fucking professional woman and you're saying that's insane to me.
I've had that. And because that's a big turnoff to me because a lot of my friends, my homies are women comics. Mm-hmm. One woman in particular who is like my sister, and I tell people all the time about her, Jen Sturger. She's a comic and Jen's fucking hilarious. And I won't let anybody talk down about her.
Sure. Well, we all comedians, we're protective of anyone talking shit. We can talk shit about our friends. But someone outside doesn't. I get mad.
You can't. But then also, this is my job. Sure, this is my life. Yeah. And so, being sexist like that, I've met black, white, Hispanic, different people who are just absolutely racist. They're just
Well, how can you date? Okay, so you're dating when you're talking to women that are the sexist part you've explained. What about the race stuff?
So it's very fun. It's very weird and funny at the same time, and I use that term loosely. I say that because I've dated black women who are so anti Hispanic people, and I'm just like, yo, this is uncomfortable.
Right.
Like we all have a dislike slightly about any other culture. It's just natural. Mm-hmm. But it's when you take that dislike to a level that's just off the meter.
Yeah.
I've met white women who don't like Hispanics or don't like Asian people. I've had people who like, I normally don't deal with black people, but you're different, which is an instant turn off for me. I've heard insanity. So I've seen it on so many different levels. Another big turn off is if you tell me you hate kids.
Yeah.
Because I have two.
Right.
Granted, my son is in college. He's a freshman in college. So my son isn't a child. He's an adult. But I still have my 9-year-old daughter.
Right.
And nothing is going to change my relationship with my daughter. For damn sure not a relationship. I mean, we've heard about it so much, but you'll never catch me ever being like, yo, I can't do for my child because I got this woman in my life. That's if you say I was dating one girl who would constantly be like, I just don't like kids. I just really don't like kids that aren't mine. And I was like, I don't think you realize how off-putting that is to me. As a man, has kids.
Right.
You've heard me tell you, we'll be out certain places and I'll see something and I'm like, yo, my daughter would look dope in that. Oh, that'd be nice for my daughter. My son might need to get that. And you're telling me these things. And so that is a big turnoff because, if I didn't have kids, I've always wanted kids. So I'm not going to just be like, yo, you got kids? I can't deal with you.
Do you date women that have kids predominantly or either? Or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I don't actively seek out, she got to have kids so she can understand me.
Right.
Everybody's different. Some people don't have kids for physiological reasons. Some don't have them for personal reasons. Some just like, I don't have the time for
Do you want to have more kids?
No, I'm done. I'm hella done.
Like, I hate when people, what type of kids? You want to? No, fuck no. I don't want more kids.
So look,
I know. I'm just.
No, bro, let me tell you. I'm going to be real.
It was funny though. Someone's going to be like, that fucking hypocrite.
No, because I have my boy and girl. I have my son and daughter. You hear a lot
sexist.
Because I have both of them. I'm good. I'm all right. Because you have a lot of people who are like, I got a bunch of boys. I want a girl. I got a bunch of girls. I want a boy. I got both.
You got both.
I'm good.
You're done.
I'm good.
You've done your part.
I've done my.
Thanos would be happy. I don't know if.
I had to fucking start over again after when my daughter came along because my son and my daughter are 10 years apart.
Right.
I can't do another 10, 11 years apart as trying to be daddy all over again. If you have kids and I meet a woman, she has kids, we're already here. We're good.
Right.
But to be like, I'm pregnant. No, you're not.
Right. Well, what are the other things? Okay, so you've said what are the things that you look for now? You said you want to be in a relationship, mm-hmm. but what are you doing to make that happen, if anything?
So
are you on apps here?
I tried the apps thing and I'll be honest, I am so, all right, let me download this app. Why did I download this app? I'm literally that dude. And now I've just really tried to be more present in social events. And not just because you see people out in social events and things like that, parties, get-togethers, et cetera, and they're just sitting to them damn self on their phone.
Right.
I've pulled myself out of that, being more personable and talking and getting to know people, having just genuine conversations about random things to see where you are as a person.
Sure.
Because, you can talk about the event, where you at, blah, blah, blah. But if you just start having a conversation about something that's crazy and just, not super far off, but just to see how that person reacts and maybe you share a laugh or two, those are the things I do. I'd rather do those more than anything. I even tried a point where I was like, maybe I should date a comic.
No.
Let me tell you something. I found that shit out the hard way. Here's why.
Never do that.
Well, because my thought process was this. This was my thought process, and I found out it was from a lot of people. It was like, you fucked up thinking that. And I was like, nah, after having it happen, I felt as if I found a comic who was somewhat on the same level as me, doing some of the things I do, they're on their own, we wouldn't worry about competing with each other. Mm-hmm. B, we would understand one another's schedule.
Right.
So it wouldn't be any conflict like that. But then I realized, this shit won't work because when you think you know a person, you don't.
It's not. We talk about this on every podcast. I'm sorry for those listening, but we don't. That's why you don't shit where you work. You're not allowed to hook up with people at jobs. Like, it's in real world, in corporate America, you can't fuck coworkers.
Right.
And we don't have that HR department in the comedy.
But let's just be real. There are
sounds great. I
there
agree.
are some comedy couples. There are so I don't want anybody thinking like us. Nobody's ever. There are actual successful comedy couples.
But for every one success, there's
about 77,816 failures, and I'm one of that 77,000.
It's just not. The schedule thing is great. They understand the hustle. They understand why we do these guest spots for no money, 2 hours away or whatever the fuck it is. But at the end of the day, like there has to be, a separation between church and state. And
absolutely, I get what you. Yeah, and I found that out, and so that changed. And so I went from a comics mindset to I need to have somebody who just understands my life, because my life is not. It's not typical. No, I don't have a 9 to 5.
Right.
I don't
None
have
of
a
us
9.
do. Right.
Right. I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't punch a clock. I just. Before this, I had a meeting I had to be at earlier. Then I had to be on another meeting where it was for a pre-show meeting for something I'm filming tomorrow. And then I have a bunch of stuff, shows in between. And so, my schedule is weird. And so if we're like, yo, I'm scheduling stuff, I want, somebody that understands
and
that.
then things pops up. So you're like, hey, I got to cancel. I got a spot or whatever.
And it really depends on it depends on what, because like hypothetically, I have a show scheduled this Friday when we're recording, but I just got asked to do the Laugh Factory in Hollywood on top of that. So now I'm adding something else into my schedule. So I know people are like, well, maybe you won't have time for somebody. And I've always said this to any woman I've ever talked to and was trying to get to know and potentially evolve forward with. I've always said, I will make time for what I want to make time for. That is not a problem.
Right.
That has never been an issue for me. I will, if you're of importance to me.
Yeah, but the thing is where do you make that time, right? Because we have these schedules that are bizarre.
This is fair, but that's when you know how to mitigate your own schedule,
right? And that's why it makes sense to date someone who has the same schedule, and that's why we're like, oh yeah, this would be the perfect setting if you were also. You understand my schedule.
Yes.
That's why you can do comedy adjacent. That's why you can do like people in the music industry. That's what I was.
That's what I was about to go to. You just find somebody that understands
entertainment.
That understands entertainment more than anything.
But the problem here, and then tell me if I'm wrong. You said you want to be present in conversations when you're socializing, but in LA, the stereotype is when you get into a conversation, people are basically taking all they can get from you. They're like, what can this person bring
now,
to me?
That is
and
something.
How do you separate that?
That has happened.
Relationship.
That has also happened too, trying to date out here. Because when, again, one of the things I do not do and I will not do, and it disgusts me, because you can see my face, it disgusts me when people do this, wear their resumes on their sleeve.
Right.
I don't give a shit. Yo, when people ask me, what do you do? Especially if we're at a mixer or an event where it has a lot of people, what do you do? This is my legit
How is
response.
this person going to help me?
My response is, I'm an average black dude that gets to do a lot of dope shit. That is my guaranteed response. Because now I don't want to sit and tell you, well, what do you do? Well, I'm an actor, stand-up comedian, a writer, producer, host, podcaster, all these different things.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to tell you all that. I want to just sit here and say, get to know me.
And then we'll figure that.
Then you'll find out later. And people that I have talked to, and even there are people I've tried relationships with that have gone and it's become good friends.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and that's what happens in LA. I feel like maybe not so much in the comedy world, because I feel like we're all kind of in the same boat. But I have been to events where people are like, even just like being here for 3 days, it's just like people are like, wait, you look familiar. How do I know? I'm like, oh God, I'm just here to say happy birthday to my friend. I want to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Where the thing we were at, I'm just like, I don't want to get into this right now. Mm-hmm. So. But that's the stereotype you have out here. And I think that adds another layer of making it difficult to find a relationship in LA. That's substantial.
Absolutely. You have people, like you said, there are people just trying to elevate any way they can. I watch people who are literally in relationships with people that can supposedly make their careers.
Right.
And then when that relationship ends, they go to somebody else in the same level that can push them up higher. And I'm like, oh, all you're doing is clout chasing. And you make it seem like you're trying to find happiness, but you can't ever grasp it.
Social climbing.
Yeah, you're social climbing.
It's like when people were like that all in high school too. I was a social climber. I mean, everyone is like that. What about, do you see yourself as an LA person now, or do you feel like you're a visitor here and eventually you're going to go to Chicago? Or have you thought of that.
I am 100% still a Chicagoan. I stay here, but home is Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you staying at? I stay here. Yes, it's been 7 years, but LA's not going to be home.
You've been here 7 years?
It's been 7 years.
Fuck.
No shit. And it's like, it's still not home. Because everybody's like, it's starting to feel like home. And I'm like, nah, because there's a vibe I can only get in Chicago.
Right.
There's a vibe I can only get there. I can't get here. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, if I meet somebody here, doesn't change how I'm going to feel about the place. But now it's something that grounds me more. I tell everybody this real quick. If I could do at least a third of the shit I do in my career back home, I'd probably be there. But a lot of the shit I do requires me to be here.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Now that you're at a level of success where for people back home, are you now do you ever feel like you can go back and kind of conquer all those crushes you had when you were younger? Or were you already... Well, before we get to that, let me ask you this. In high school, what were you like? Were you this nerdy kid or were you a jock? What were the...
I was the nerdy kid, but I was the nerdy kid.
But you were a big dude, right?
No, not at all.
Really?
Not at all. It wasn't until Jay's third year as a pro wrestler that he actually started putting on size.
Okay.
I was a smaller dude, and I was...
So how old were you? Well, in high school, how tall were you?
I was about maybe 2-3 inches shorter. So I was about 5'7", 5'8".
Okay.
And so I was about 140, 150.
Jesus Christ.
I know, I was a whole different person. And I was the nerdy kid. I was a nerd, but I also was the nerd that would crack jokes just naturally.
Okay.
So, I got in trouble because I would roast people so hard and crack jokes on them so hard they get mad. And that was just me in high school. And I I messed around with a few different people, of course, in high school. Of course, you messing around in school and different parties we would go to, all those different things. And one of the biggest things for me back in the day was this thing called the party line. And that, man, listen, for those who don't know about that, this was before Tinder. This was Tinder before Tinder. Yeah, man.
Call in and talk to people.
Yeah, dude.
Try to get the number and go private.
Bro, I have the gift of gab. And so when I tell you I was out here just reckless running through these party lines.
Yeah, but you didn't know what they looked like. That was the problem.
No, you don't get what I'm saying. I was meeting them on the party line. We meet up in person. Then they come into the crib, and we do what we do.
Right.
I was getting reckless on that.
Okay.
And it got to a point I even had to tell myself, yo, you going to need to slow down.
Right.
Because I was wild. I'll never forget my mom came home one day when I was still staying with my mom. She was like, let me tell you something. If you're going to be fucking these little raggedy bitches out here, can you have them not be so loud? And I just couldn't do nothing. I was like, shit. And so...
This is in high school?
This is in high school and right after.
So you weren't hooking up with people in your school because they saw you as this nerdy kid, but on the party line, you can create your own...
I was a whole different person.
Yeah, they don't know who you are.
They have no idea.
They know you have the gift of gab. Mm-hmm. They think you're funny. They meet you in person. Boom.
That's exactly what it was. And what it
I'm
did...
assuming you had hair then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I still... Here's the funny thing. I still have hair now. I just choose... People hate me for that. They're like, why the fuck do you shave? I'm like, because I just like it.
It's your look, yeah.
It's just like it. But yeah, I would be able to do that. And it helped a lot for my confidence, which sometimes I still deal with. I had to learn this from a lot of my women friends. They were like, yo, some women don't like when men have low self-esteem and things like that. I was like, yeah, but my life has different things, be rejection. Because as much as I try for love and relationships, I am rejected twice as heavy because I'm not the standard out here in Los Angeles.
Right.
And that's a lot of things. One of the things when I tell people that, especially when I tell women I know.
When you say the standard, what do you mean?
You have the athletic build, smaller type, tall dude.
You're outside the norm.
Yeah, and if you're a bigger guy, whether it be bigger muscular, bigger fat, whatever the case, if you got money or look like you got money, then you're more attractive. Not just on a normal level.
Right.
And people are like, oh, that's not true. I'm like, you're a damn lie.
Yeah, it's surfacey out here more than it is in Chicago.
That's right. In Chicago, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
I go home when I'm at home sometimes after I'm doing shows or just hanging out, I could be doing nothing but fucking.
Right.
But out here,
I've seen you at shows.
Goddamn right.
In Chicago. But do you take that now that you have the success? You've been on the big screens, you've been on the small screens, you've been on all these screens. all these people in high school and beyond, when you were back home, can you go back and do you get the temptation to just be like, they're DMing you and you're just like,
bro,
oh, now you give me
we're
time.
sitting in my apartment. My computer's right in front of me. I have 2 Facebook pages. This one that's sitting up right now is with the majority of people I went to high school with.
Right.
I am good. Put it like this. I am
So
good.
when you come home, you take care of business if you need to.
No, when I'm home, I'm just dealing with myself because it damn sure ain't nobody from my high school. Nobody. I've had a couple who I'll never forget. One girl hit me up. She DM'd me. She said, "You will never believe this. I was having sex with a dude, and then I think a commercial I was on came on. She was like, and I screamed out your name a couple times during sex." I was like, okay, where is this conversation going?
Yeah.
Like, I should feel good about myself, but are you trying to throw me some ass to let me know? And so
That is a weird thing to
so
say.
weird ass thing to say.
So what was the answer?
I just was like, she just was like, I felt like she was like, I just felt like I wanted to tell you. And I was like, okay. And I just let it go. Because I was like, I don't know how weird this can potentially get.
Sure.
So I let it go. But like I've had a few people like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I knew you would do all this, that, and the third. No, you didn't. You just think all of a sudden I'm gonna got a lot of money now. Get the fuck out of my face. I have a bullshit detector all the time. And so when people, if I did, especially motherfuckers I never talked to in high school.
Yeah.
Especially the people that we knew each other because we went to school together. That's how we knew each other. We never talked.
Right.
We never hung out. We never kicked it. But all of a sudden now you want to DM me and oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Shut the fuck up.
Right. That's
Shut the fuck up. It's very annoying. It's very, and it's like, I don't ever want people to see me as an asshole or see me as stuck up. But the thing is, you only talk to me now because of the status you think I have.
Right.
And so I'm the same. I tell people all the time, I'm the same dude from 76 in Winchester that just happens.
That's the South Side for you people.
That's a South Side reference. I'm the same dude from 76 in Winchester that has been blessed and fortunate to have a great career thus far and is still going.
So let's say this. What if a woman comes into your life? She knows, not only does she know the DC and the Marvel universe, but she is a part of it. You meet her at the Comic-Con, and she has 2 kids. She's not racist, or not sexist, anything like that. What does she look like? Who's this dream woman? She has all the.
She has all the qualities.
Yeah.
I don't
have a physical. If we lined up the last 5 women you were intimate with, do they all look the same?
No,
they're all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Okay.
It's literally from.
So you don't have a type.
No, it's from small to big.
Okay.
Just to use that as a scale, from small to big.
Age, all ages.
Age was probably about from 27 to maybe. She was like 48, 49.
Okay. That's good.
And so there is no one particular look.
What about comedy? What if they don't follow stand-up comedy?
It's probably the best. Oh my God, thank you.
Or what if they don't share your sensibilities in comedy? What if they're like,
well, that's the one thing, like you got to just like, hey,
you
I don't
laugh
like
at the same things.
Yeah, we don't laugh at we don't laugh at the same things. I don't think it's a deal breaker. Because, when it comes to like you just don't like comedy altogether and you just don't care, then that's a problem because it's what I do.
Okay, what if their favorite comic is like Jeff Dunham, the puppet guy? Are you like, what? Or are you going to be like, that's okay?
Let me tell you something. You tell me your favorite motherfucking comic is Jeff Dunham. You better be a goddamn dime piece, like a diamond. You better have the most.
But she likes DC and Marvel.
That's what I was about to say. You better have the most golden.
Everything else, but she's like obsessed with Jeff Dunham.
Oh,
I use him as an example so much on this.
You better fuck me till my toes curl backwards.
Great in bed.
You got to be beyond great. If you love Jeff Dunham,
okay. Now I'm going to add another thing. She's beautiful. She's a dime. She loves DC, Marvel. She has like doubles your poster board in terms of what's on the walls, in terms of all that stuff. Everything is great, and she likes comedy, and she's not racist or sexist, but politically you guys don't match up. She's like big into. She was at the Capitol. She believes in election.
We wouldn't be together. Because now here's the deal. I've dated conservative people. Mm-hmm. There's and we've seen over the past several years there's a difference.
Yeah. Different levels. We just talked about this on another podcast.
So I've dated a conservative, I don't mind, because again, those are healthy discussions to have.
Agree.
But when you date but if it's somebody that they were at the Capitol, they believe you're too fucking far gone to have a sensible discussion because you're prone to believing every fucking thing that sounds as asinine as it possibly could be coming out of your mouth. Okay. I can't deal with that. I've stopped talking to people I've known 10, 15, 20 years because they started spewing. I'm like, yo, you do realize nothing you say tracks.
It's the conspiracy stuff, all that stuff is hard to follow. Yeah, I gotcha.
So that's where that goes.
Okay. So Jeff Dunham and Capitol are the deal breakers.
Man, you put the two of them together. I'd be like, how the fuck?
But DC, I mean, like,
I wouldn't give a shit.
She loves Black Lightning.
Let me tell you something. I know one of the stars of a Marvel movie was at the Capitol. Okay, one of the stars.
Wow,
she was at the Capitol. So let me just.
I do remember something.
Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah.
And so.
It's her.
What if it's her? If it's nope, because I still think, your special level is stupid. Because I get to see your social media.
Maybe they know now. Maybe they learned their lesson. You got to forgive and forget. They're like, I went there. I was brainwashed. I was watching this QAnon thing, and I believed it. But now I see the light.
I would need to see the proof that you don't still believe and follow that shit. Because you can't convince me that anybody that was that ingrained into it all of a sudden was like, you know what, this whole thing wasn't right. I don't know how I allowed myself to get to this level. Like,
it's a relationship. They were in a toxic relationship.
Fuck that.
Well, all right. We went too long here. Oh, no, we're good on time. I just want to leave you this. Okay, so we've covered everything in terms of what you want. And you're not in a rush to do any of this stuff, obviously, because most people are in a rush because they want to have kids. You've already had kids, so you've got that going for you. Mm-hmm. You're busy as it is. So, like, I don't even see why you would want to be in a relationship. I understand you want to share beyond, you want to have someone that has your back beyond your homies and your friends, two separate entities.
Two separate, yes.
But, like, you're not in a rush, so you can just chill and do whatever the fuck you want.
I can, and I can't actually do what I want, but I want somebody.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Well, the DMs are going to come after this podcast. So let me know.
I want to see them come through, and I'm going to respond to them all.
I will see. I would be curious to see what types of people hit you up. That'll be interesting. Jay, we're out of time. I want to have you back on.
Whenever, brother.
Whenever you come back to Chicago, please give me a heads up, and we'll do a follow-up because I know people want to hear what's happened.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
Where can people find out more about you and your upcoming shows and events and stuff you got going on and your podcast? Please plug all of that.
Absolutely. You can find me on the basic social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Mr. J Washington. That's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington.
You were there on January 6th. You should know how to spell
Washington. If you are a fan of the Marvel and DC universes, I do have a nerd podcast called the Mad Titan Podcast, where I tell everybody I get you caught up on all those things that are happening in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. But it's barbershop talk for nerds. So if you've ever been in a barbershop, a beauty shop, we just chop it up like that, like a regular conversation. Also, I have another podcast, the Black Boy Content Club podcast, the BBC Club the BBC Club podcast. Yeah, myself, Moses Prim from Prim to the Cinema, and Chris Burns, the Dark Attack of the Strong Style Podcast. We talk about pop culture, movies, TV, some of everything. We have a lot of jokes involved. We're on every single platform. A lot of times with my shows, stand-up shows, I'm always posting them via social media. I have to re-update my website, jwashington.com. So that is a whole lot and then some.
Hit him up on Instagram.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Jay, for joining me on the podcast, and thank you all for listening to another edition of Singles Only Podcast. I'm still standing on my feet.